Welcome to the Success Story Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Clary. On this podcast, I have candid interviews with execs, celebrities, politicians, and other notable figures, all who have achieved success through both wins and losses, to learn more about their life, their ideas, and their insights. I sit down with leaders and mentors and unpack their story to help pass those lessons on to others through both experiences and tactical strategy for business professionals, entrepreneurs, and everyone in between. Without further ado, another episode of the Success Story Podcast. Thanks again for joining us today on the podcast. We have Vernon Davis, who, if you've been living under a rock and don't know, he was a American football NFL tight end. He played college football in Maryland, was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 2006. In 2009, he co-led the NFL in touchdowns and receptions, whatever, we'll just say led, and consequently earned his first two career Pro Bowl selections. In 2011, 2012, he was playing with the 49ers. He caught the game-winning touchdown pass from Alex Smith against the New Orleans Saints, referred to by fans and media as the Catch 3. And in 2015, he was traded to the Broncos, where he won Super Bowl 50 with the team. And then he signed on to the Washington Redskins in 2016, where he played until his retirement in 2019, last year. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming onto the podcast, and I'm excited to sort of, unpack like your life, your story, what's next, and all that.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm just working away, just pretty much putting everything that I put into football into life after. And I say that because it takes a lot of dedication, hard work, dedication, planning to reach the heights of success that you plan for. But I know that without that, nothing's possible. So I have to stay on top of it and keep going at a good pace.
Yeah, I feel you there, because professional sports, it's all consuming. Like literally your entire life, everything you live, breathe is put into this sometimes, especially when you're first starting out and you're coming from, like high school, then your college ball. So did you, like, when you started going into obviously your career as a football player, what was like the end goal, or what did you have an end goal, or was this something that you were like, it's like you jump and then you learn to fly on the way down, and then you'll figure out what's next as it comes?
Yeah, it's just one of those things you just figure it out. You just go day by day. Well, I remember when I made it to the pros, I always said that I wanted to play 7 years, and I said I want to play 10 years. And when I got to 10 years, I just said, all right, I'm going to play until I feel like I don't want to do it anymore. So that's one of the things that I find in life. It's always good to plan, but your planning, sometimes it goes this way and that way. You have like the ebb and flows of ideas and goals. It just takes you in so many different directions. And when guys come up to me and when they don't have a plan, I just say, do what you feel that's necessary, and let it take you to places you've never imagined.
I love that, because I think that that's very important, being like that flexible. But like why don't you, like, I just sort of ran through a pretty boilerplate, like, quick little overview of like what you've done over your career. Like, give us a background, like, for people that don't know, like, walk through like high school, college, your pro career, and then we can go into a little bit more of like what you're working on now, to sort of tee it up.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. So when I walked into high school, I walked in, the first place I went was to the basketball coach, and I wanted to try out. But when I walked in, they had these guys that were 6'6", 6'7", and here I am, 6'3". I'm like, wow, and these guys they were really good. And I played basketball my entire life. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, it's going to be a long shot for me. So maybe I should try football. I feel like I'll have more of an advantage if I try football. So I walked into the office and I told coach, hey, I want to try out. He's like, what do you want to play, offense or defense? I said, offense. I want to do something where I can score touchdowns. So that year, they were amazed by my speed, my strength, and everything that I brought to the game. So I had college recruits started to recruit me. University of Maryland and Virginia were the first ones. So after that year, I just blew up. So when I look at by the time 11th grade rolled around, I was like, wow, this must be the game for me. So maybe I should try this and just go with it. So I went with it. Then by the time I was a senior, I committed to the University of Maryland. And I knew from that point on that football was for me. So I started to become more dedicated and just put my heart and soul into it. So when I walked into college, I I tried out. No, they put me at wide receiver, and then I went to tight end.
Yeah.
And from there, I started to just go places because of the hard work, the dedication that I was putting in. It took me places I never imagined. Next thing you know, I was drafted to the San Francisco 49ers as the sixth pick in the draft.
That's, do you, when you're living that, because I think that anybody that's gone pro, when they look back, they realize how crazy and how much dedication and effort they put into their career. But when you're living that and you're going from, high school to college and then you're drafted by the 49ers, do you realize how much effort and how much, I just guess, consistency it takes to make it at that? And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because that level of dedication that a professional athlete can show, you can take, like, we can speak about it in a second, like what you're working on now. If you took that same dedication, if most people took that same dedication that a professional athlete is required to take to be pro, they would be successful at whatever they choose to be. So when you were doing that, was it like what drove you? Was it like a passion, or was it just like you knew that this is the amount of work you had to do? Because it's an incredible amount of work for most people to get to that level.
I feel like you let your past be the catalyst for what you're trying to do. For me, not having my mom and dad around really gave me that spark that I needed to pursue everything that I wanted in my life. All the desires of my heart, I let that be that point. And I always went back there whenever I wanted something, but subconsciously it was always on my mind. And it was something about it. I was hurt. I was embarrassed, all of the above.
Yeah.
So all of that built up into me, gave me the steam that I needed to be where I am today. And I'm very thankful for it. But as a young guy, you have to learn how to channel those emotions. And that's what I did. When I was in San Francisco, you probably remember, or you may not, but head coach Mike Singletary sent me to the locker room because he said I wasn't the leader that I was expected to be. I need to be more for my team. I need to put my teammates first. And he was right. So once I learned how to channel those emotions, I was better for my teammates. I was better for the team, and I was better for myself ultimately. So my career started to take off. And those are the moments we live for. Life is nothing without them. So
Yeah.
if I go back in time, I have to really be thankful for everything that I went through in my past, because it was definitely the catalyst.
So, the situations that you use to sort of fuel are not easy. They're very tough situations that people have to deal with, and I think that people crumble with a lot less stress than the stuff that you like went through growing up. Mm-hmm. So how did you effectively use that for good and not just let it, just break you down and stop you from achieving anything? Because of people that, man, like, people lose a job. God forbid they lose their parents. People lose a job. They can't go on. They can't, you know what I mean? Like, how do you keep your head and sort of just keep going forward?
Well, because you'd have to know it. Like I said, we talked about that end goal. You have to know what you want out of life, and we find when you're seeking, I'm not going to lie, my entire career, I've always had fear. I always had doubt, but you fight those things by replacing it with the joy, those joyful moments in your life, the joyful moments to come. When we think about the things that we want, and you have so much faith, being sure what you hope for, certain of what you do not see. You can feel that, you can see it, and it's going to come into fruition. It gives you the strength and the ability to just keep going even further. And that's what I would use. I would always go back to those joyful moments that I've had and the joyful moments to come. And it keeps me in that place where I know I have to achieve this certain thing, because if I don't, I won't see those moments to come. Yeah. And the moments that I did have, they'd be worthless. So I always kept it right there at the forefront.
That's good. And now that's what you're taking. Obviously, you're taking the same mindset into what you're doing next. So I have no doubt you'll be successful. But how did you know when it was, I guess, a point in your career where you were like, "Hey, this is enough"? Because you mentioned the amount of years you want to put into playing football. But how did you know that this was enough? I have you had a Super Bowl, you had two Pro Bowls. 2013, you were second team All Pro. You again, 2009, you were leading the league in touchdowns, and then you were a consensus All-American. 2005, you have a whole bunch of these really great accolades, resume under your belt. How do you? When are you just like, that's good? Next stage of my life. How do you make that call when you're sort of you're killing it every single year?
Because you can't be complacent. You can never be complacent in life. You have to always want more. And it's not a bad thing to want more. Wanting more, as long as you're humble about it and you're grounded and you keep your heart in a good place, then that's all that matters. But if you don't want more, then you don't want anything. I just can't stop just because I become the best broadcaster in the world. I should also want more from a broadcast perspective. Maybe I want to go do something, achieve greater heights in the broadcasting world. Maybe I want to go and be an actor. You know what I mean? You just can't stop here. You have to always have options. Never limit yourself to anything because you never know. Always give yourself room to grow and the platform to reach heights you've never imagined. Like I said before.
Now, so that makes a ton of sense to me, and I love that. And I think that's what you're saying is very smart. When you're at the level that you're at, you have some notoriety and fame, you have some successes. What you're transitioning into now, are people throwing opportunities at you and you're just figuring out what to do next, or are you yourself trying to go figure out I want to go into film, I want to go into entertainment? What does that actually look like for someone at your level?
Yeah, I mean, people are throwing different things. You have a ton of opportunities that come your way. Like for me, since I retired, I announced my retirement. I've had people come from every direction, throwing this opportunity, that opportunity. But you really have to vet it, just like you do in business. You have to vet these opportunities out and make sure it's something that makes sense for you. Make sure the synergy is there. And if not, you probably want to pass on it. But I like to take my time and think about things. I don't act on the moment just off of impulse. Because you have to make sure, you have to be really cognizant of what you're going into, what you're about to do.
Yeah.
And make sure it makes sense. Use it, take in the people that you have working for you, like your manager, your agent, and let them look at it. Ask your friends and your buddies in the industry and see what they think about it. Just, as long as you're inquiring and dissecting. I like to look at myself as a detective. Detectives break things down, right, until they get the answer. And that's what it is. You're just breaking things down, dissecting it, getting all pieces of information until you have it right here and you can really see it, right? It really it's vivid. You can vividly see what's going on.
And then you can put yourself behind it. So what are you working on? Let's speak about what you're working on now, and then I kind of want to understand why you chose what you're looking into, post NFL career.
Okay, right now I'm working on a partnership with the studio in Fitzgerald, Atlanta. They have 40 acres, and they're building out this massive studio where they have a hotel for the cast and crew to stay at when they're filming. Tons of real estate on the property as well, but they're already moving. They brought me the opportunity to come in and join them. So I'm actually trying to formulate that deal as we speak. And then there's another film that I'm working on called A Message from Brianna, which is going to be pretty cool. It's a horror film. It's about a couple who moves into this house and now their baby is possessed by a spirit. And now they have to figure out how to get rid of this demon in their 1-year-old and continue to work on their relationship in this situation? Would it, now their backs are against the wall. They have to figure it out. They bring in a pastor to help them, and life goes on. So I can't tell you the end of the story, but it's
No, but they got all the best parts.
it's
They
pretty
got a
cool.
scary ass kid. They got a family moving into a house they have no business
Yeah.
moving into. No, it's good. That's really good. So, and like when when you think about this stuff, like where do you learn to go act, or is it just something that you're throwing yourself into? Because that's tough too. Because it's not like what you're used to. It's not your thing. So well, eventually it will be. But
Well, over time, when I was, but back in I'd say 2013, I enrolled in a class at the Shelton Theater of Art in San Francisco, California, and I learned how some of the keys and the tools to acting. It was an improv class,
yeah,
but I learned a lot, and then from there, I started making appearances on shows and finding different short films and things of that nature. And then what happened between now and the last 3 years, I started taking acting classes. Right now, that's all I've been doing. I work with my coach 3 times a week. Right now, we go over the message from Brianna's script, and we go over other material. But usually, when I get a script, I'll take it to my coach, and we'll start breaking it down. Those those things that you do behind the scenes, behind closed doors, working on scripts and working on the tools and techniques that you've been equipped with, that's what make you better. Just like in football, you take the tools and techniques that you learn, you continue to continuously work on them throughout every on a weekly basis, right? And
yeah,
then all of a sudden you're getting better. You find
yeah.
yourself getting better and better and better. So you're just preparing yourself. It's the preparation, just like anything else. So that's where the tools and technique come from.
No, I like it, and I wanted to bring that out because I know you're doing something. You're not a guy that just doesn't do anything and just jumps into something and hopes to be successful. You know that's not the way it is,
Oh yeah,
but I think that a lot of people that not just an athlete transition into acting, they just see the end result. They see the repeated success, right? They say,
right,
oh, this
right,
guy won a Super Bowl. Now he can go do a blockbuster, and they're like, oh, whatever, life's easy. But it's
right,
not when you unpack it. It like life is never easy for anybody. It doesn't matter
right.
if you've won a Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe you have an agent that can get you, but
Yeah,
you can still suck if you don't put in the work.
exactly.
So, but yeah, that's awesome. Good on you. I don't know. I've never taken an acting class. It's so far from what I know, but good on you for doing that. And I think that that's the way to transition. So what do you like when with this new movie? Is this like the direction that you want to go? Is that something like you think you're gonna enjoy or?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna enjoy it. I just finished my lead role in a film. We finished shooting 2 months ago in Denver.
Yeah.
A film called Red Winter. I was the lead character playing a guy named Daniel, and my significant other was Carla. So Red Winter's about two couples who go on a snowmobile retreat to work on their relationship. Once they arrive, they find that once they get with the group, they find that their tour guide is missing. They witness him being murdered. Now they have to run from the bad guys. Not only is Daniel working on his relationship with Carla, but he also has to stay alive, keep her safe, and he has to prove her dad wrong. Her dad thinks that he's a no good guy for his daughter. He's no good for his daughter. So at the end of the movie, you'll see that Daniel has fought so much to not only win Carla, but to prove her dad wrong and stay alive along this journey. So that's
I
going to be
love
a
it.
great film. Can't wait for you to see it. I feel like I put my best foot forward in that film. I made great choices. I can't wait for people to see my performance.
No, that's good. And how do you choose? Like, how do you choose a movie that you want to get behind? Like, like what's your thing that sort of gets you excited about this?
Well, if I read the script, after reading the script, and if I love it, and I'm like, wow, this is great. Usually, after reading so many scripts over time, you know what sounds good and what doesn't. It has to if it would make sense for it to relate to your life.
Yeah.
Does this story relate to my life? Can I see myself in as this character? How can I make great choices being this character? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it's about. And when I say choices, a lot of people probably don't know what I mean by choice. Choices is being confident in what you're pursuing, right? If you want to be your need, your wants, like what you want from this character, make a decision on what you want based on each scene and go after it. and make great choices on your responses. That's what making great choices mean. Just being confident in your work and what you want from the character, because it's about, and every scene is all about, and every film is all about what that character wants, knowing what's at stake, and going after it. Having that objective, that overall objective, and then each scene going after that overall objective, because it all adds up to that overall objective based on what you're going after in that scene.
Do you feel like when you take on a role in acting, if you don't believe in the story, and I know you're going to say like, well, actors can act, but the way you're describing it, it almost like if you don't believe in the story itself, it's hard to actually commit to doing like a good performance. Is that something you'd say is accurate?
I would say so. You have to know you have to really know that you can break this script down and build on it. You can create your backstory. Backstory is everything that happens before the script even starts. Like, that's something you come up with. The script doesn't. The script can give it to you after you read the script, and you find clues. Like I said, being a detective, you find those clues that you need to create your backstory, and then you create it. It's pretty interesting, man. Just the journey that you take in breaking down the script and playing that character in the movie. You go back to your substitutions and you use real life situations that you've been through, that you've encountered throughout your life, and you add it to the text. It's pretty awesome. I think it's pretty neat, pretty cool.
And do you think, like, are you like, obviously you've done one, you're doing another, like, you're feeling, is this going to be like, do you think Vernon Davis is going to be synonymous with actor? Is that like the end goal, or like, what do you hope? What do you want to get out of this?
Well, I know life is totally unexpected, so I'm just gonna put my best foot forward. I'm gonna put everything I can into creating really the craft, right? And see what happens. I'm going to explore the craft and let everything else take me where it wants to take me, just go with the flow.
And I got two other things when I was looking on your website. It's a beautifully done website, but there was two other points that I saw. I saw Vernon Davis, the artist, and I want to know what that's about, because I can't draw anything to save my life. And then Vernon Davis, a philanthropist, and I guess, like, what do you care about? What causes are important to you and why? But what's up with Vernon Davis, the artist? So what are you doing? What is that? Is that a hobby? Is that something that you're passionate about?
Well, I say it's what I'm doing now, the acting.
Oh, that is okay. Not art as in like painting art, as in like acting.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I changed my major from criminal justice to art studio, not knowing where I was going. I just did it. I felt like I wanted to do it, so I did it. I changed it, became an artist. When I arrived in San Francisco, I opened up an art gallery in San Jose, California. Yeah, where we would use local artists to display their art, their work. I had a curator, and the proceeds, 40% of the proceeds would go back to the artist, 60% would go to the Vernon Davis Foundation for the Arts. So that's where the art came from. It came from my college days, and then I implemented that throughout my career of playing football. Recently, last 3 years, between now and the last 3 years, I had been focusing on everything. I switched the focus of my foundation on helping homelessness, focusing on the importance of reading, you name it. And I wanted to do that because I felt like that's where my life was taking me. When it comes to philanthropy, that's what I love. I love helping people. So I just can't focus on, now I can focus on arts. I can focus on homelessness. I can focus on literacy. I can do it all. And that's what the meaning of my foundation is. That's what it stands for. You name it, I'm there to help, give back, raise money for it. Yep.
Whoever needs it. No. And this is something that I've always noticed. And I want your take on this because, this is what's up. You were pro footballer. You're now starring in blockbusters. You had an art gallery and you're in philanthropy. Why is it that people that seem to be successful can take on literally everything and they're never busy?
Because we talked about being becoming complacent. I'm
Yeah.
never complacent. I always want more. It makes me. I feel like I can really. I thrive off of more, off of doing. You know what I mean? Now, and I take time for myself. A lot of people might say, "Well, how are you so busy? You're doing this, you're doing that." But I focus on my breathing. I know what I want in life. I take my time. I'm moving slow. I'm not moving fast, and I prioritize. I have 3 kids. I have a family, and I know what comes first. My thing is always God, family, and whatever I'm focused on, right?
Yeah.
And that's my process. That's what I believe in. That's what I pursue, and I just take it one day at a time and move
Yeah.
slow.
Good. And for philanthropy, what are you working on now for the Vernon Davis Foundation? What's like your cause of I don't know, the moment is not probably not the best way to say it, but whatever whatever is top of mind right now for you.
Oh man, this is great timing because I just partnered with a Indian cuisine group called Raza, a restaurant, a trending restaurant out of Washington D.C. Pretty cool, very modern. Their food is extremely flavorful. I mean, if you think of Indian food, you think of just like maybe mundane, hand food, just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
really spicy. But no, this is not it. It's more of like the kavas and um, the chipotles, that kind of
Yeah.
fast casual, really flavorful, very good. I mean, when I tried it for the first time, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And yeah, I make it. Well, before the pandemic, I was making a stop at Ross, and not just because I know the guys, but because the food is really amazing. I recommend if you're ever in Washington, D.C., please try it. But I'm partnering with Raza. The Vernon Davis Foundation is partnering with Raza. We are raising funds for medical workers and kids who need our help. It's very important that we do this because we know how important it is to give back to those who are on the front line. They're
Yeah.
risking their lives to save lives, and it's only right that we come out and we help. All we're doing is raising funds, and people have a chance to contribute $5. That $5 will cover one meal,
Yeah.
and if you're donating $10, you're covering 2 meals, right? So we're asking people to jump on, um, help support the mission, give back, and help save lives.
Is that's it's a beautiful initiative. Is that in
Yeah.
relation to the pandemic or just because it was something that you were already working on?
No, it's something that just came up because of the pandemic.
Okay.
I'm always thinking, Rasa. I got with Rasa, and we decided to come up with this idea because, I mean, they're cooking all the food,
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of the work, and these guys. Another reason why I wanted to work with them, not just because the food was good, but because of what they stood for. Right when we sat down, they talked to me about like what they wanted to do from a philanthropic standpoint. And not only am I an investor in the group with the group, I'm also a partner when it comes to philanthropy, right? And the synergies there. And that's what I like. There's nothing like working with people who have the same synergy that you have, who
Yeah.
believe in the same things that you believe in. And that's what caught my attention. I said, these are honest, straightforward, transparent guys who not only want to do well in business, but they also want to help others. And I knew what I was getting into. So when we sat down and had this call about raising funds so that we can feed the medical workers and kids who need our help
Yeah.
within the District of Columbia area, I already knew that that was coming. I knew something was coming. I knew we were going to think on the same wavelength. And here we are about to make this thing happen. I mean, everything's in place, everything's ready. All we have to do is raise the funds.
Yeah.
And thankful, hope, and we're fortunate enough to have our first donor donate $10,000,
Oh,
which
good
is
job.
awesome. Vernon
Congratulations.
Davis Foundation's donating some funds. I'm donating funds towards the cause. So, I mean, we're looking pretty good. We're ready to go, man.
Yeah, I think it's important because like I mentioned before we started chatting, I'm in Toronto and yeah, it's tough for everybody, but
Yeah.
I see a lot of people in the States, a lot of medical workers, a lot like everyone's having a real tough time. Like I'm not sure what DC is like, but I do know like if you look at like the New Yorks and whatnot, like you're getting hit
Yeah.
really hard right now. So
Yeah. We have to do as much as we can, man. Every penny counts. Every person who contributes, it counts.
yeah,
I mean, You never know, man. I mean, this world is so big. I mean, it's enormous. I mean, so there's people everywhere that need help, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everywhere.
no, it's beautiful that, and I think it's nice that you realize that because obviously, you had a great career, you're in the position to help people, but at the same time, like you're opening it up so that you built a vehicle that you don't have to be a multimillionaire to be able to help. $5 is not a lot of money, and also the fact that this restaurant, who you're partnering with, like restaurants are already hard hit. Like it's good on them to take this on now because they have the means, they have the capability, but like restaurants are not having an easy time during coronavirus. Like those are probably the ones that are probably hit the hardest. So, that's very impressive on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I appreciate that, man. That really tees up like what you're working on now. And that's really what I want to unpack. And I like that. I like the transition. I like that. I like that you're sort of taking that same like put everything into it attitude that you had that brought you success in the NFL. You're putting it into the philanthropy, and it's not meant to be like like a super promotional podcast about like what you're working on now. But I believe that people can learn out a lot when they understand that things don't come easy for anybody, and they have to put more of themselves into it to get more out. And I don't think enough people put in the work and they complain about not getting the results. And like, like a thing you're taking like 3 times a week, whatever, maybe more acting classes to be a successful actor. This is not like you're just jumping into it and like everything, you mentioned, you have like the steps and you have the process. One thing that I like to do to sort of, I guess, tee these up, close these up, is just get some like the very high level, like life lesson questions from you. I like to bring out, like the insights from the best and people that have made it. So one question I like to ask is if you could tell your younger self something, like one lesson, what would that be?
If I could tell myself one lesson, what would that be? My young self.
Your younger self, yeah. Something that would like get you, it could be business.
Read,
Yeah.
read, reading.
Do you feel
Read
like, go
and
ahead.
listen. Read and listen. I would tell my younger self to read and listen, get a jump on it, read more. Of course, you read. You have to read in order to graduate from high school and all that stuff. But reading more, putting the same effort that I put into football into
Mhm.
reading and listening. I
Yeah.
would have told my younger self that.
That's good. And it's simple, but it's something that still not a lot of people do. And how
Right.
many people just watch TV and they're not consuming, and I'm 100% on board. I feel the same way. I think that if you're not reading, you're not growing. If you're not learning, it doesn't, and to give a little context, it doesn't have to be like physically a book. It could be like an audible. It could be podcasts. There's there's ways to consume that don't require it, but also just reading is good. But and where do you like who are your mentors? Who are your people that you look up to that you think other people can learn from?
Well, I have a guy named Anthony Hirschman who I've dealt with over the last 7 years. He's been my mentor. He's been not only my visualization coach, but man, he's been everything. He's been everything for me. He's been that go-to guy that I could always go to when I needed some help, some clarity on life, and just whenever I started to doubt myself, or because you doubt yourself, your mind, every morning that we wake up, the first thing our mind do is harbor self-pity, hatred, doubt, fear. That's what it searches for automatically. That's why we have to. That's why it's important. That's why I say it's imperative for us to read and enlighten ourselves, educate ourselves, and be surrounded by positive people and positive creativity in general, because that's what we need. It blocks out all of that fear and doubt that we had. It just mitigates it. It makes it smaller,
Yeah.
decreases the amount that we take in. You know what I mean? So that's why I've always done that. That's why I've been big on visualization and just retaining information as much as I possibly could. Good information.
No, it's good. And it's like, is that somebody that other people can learn from? I don't know. I don't know him that well. So is that somebody that other people can learn from, or is that like
Yeah.
something that's just more for you?
Yeah, no, he's awesome. Anyone can learn from him. He's
Okay.
that much. He's that great. I mean, if you told him he was dying tomorrow, he'd probably tell you that he's living. He'll smile and be like, "No, I'm living." Even if he was dying, he'd tell you that. He's just super optimistic, great energy, great character, very enthusiastic. Awesome.
That's very important. Is there anything I'm just gonna ask where people can reach you or whatnot, but is there anything that we didn't chat about that you wanted to bring up?
No. Well, there's another group that I partner with called Pathwater,
Okay.
which is right here. Pathwater.
Okay.
Pathwater's mission is amazing, right? Their mission is to mitigate single-use plastic water bottles because of everything that's going on with the ocean. All of the creatures that are dying under the waters. That's where they come in at. I mean, people don't really have an opportunity to see it, but if you can go see what's happening in the ocean with all the plastic polluting our environment, it's outrageous. I mean, if you can just see it firsthand. So that's where they come in to mitigate the plastic, and they're doing a great job, a wonderful job. They've just taken over San Francisco Airport, which is amazing. You go in San Francisco, you'll see nothing but Pathwater. They just came out with their alkaline 9.5 pH alkaline water, also sparkling water. So I mean, they're killing it. Especially they have a huge presence on the West Coast, and I'm all about helping. I'm all about saving the world, making the world a better place, and that's why I jumped on with Pathwater because of their mission and what they stand for. So if you don't know about them, check them out. We're not encouraging you to buy the water. We're encouraging you to refill instead of landfilling, which is imperative. So.
Yeah,
cool.
no, you know what just a point. Like I like that everything that you promote, like there's a story that you're passionate about. Like, like when you're telling me, I'm not, we already went into, but when you're telling me that, like when you do your research, like you act detective and you do your due diligence and you do, you look under the hood, you aren't bullshitting. Like you really do have a reason to care about the stuff that you stand behind, and I like that a lot. It's not just you're shilling a product. It's like it's a product that actually matters, something you care about, and something that we should all care about. Yeah. But no, I respect that a lot, because a lot of people just stand behind products they don't care about, and I think that that's not a good thing, right? Especially if you have influence, it's not a good thing to do.
No, absolutely. Of course, if you're building a business, you want to make sure it's profitable, of course, right? But what about a mission? If you're going to do it, if it's going to be profitable, why not help something or make a difference in the world?
Yeah.
Also, in effort to being profitable, you know what I mean? It's just that's what I like, man. That's what I like. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, respect. How do people get in touch with you, reach out to you, check out what you're working on now if they want to? What's the best way?
I have a YouTube channel I just created, which is cool. I've been creating these funny skits. I have skits on there, and I really want to focus on skits, acting, and fitness, health and fitness on this YouTube channel. I'll give it to you all, man. A lot of the stuff that I do on a daily basis, stuff that I believe in, that I focus on, and just sharing some of these skits with people and just going on a journey, man, of what I believe in, what I do. And hopefully this can really inspire people from the different sectors that I have on there. And just giving it to them, showing them that I'm a real person. I'm organic. I'm transparent. This is what I love to do. And just giving them that raw, just part of me. You know what I mean? And they can also follow me on Instagram. Vernon Davis 85.
What's and that's the YouTube Vernon Davis 85?
It's just Vernon Davis. You can just find me. It's just Vernon Davis on YouTube, but my Twitter and Instagram handle is Vernon Davis 85. Yeah, no, I was looking on your Twitter before, and I saw one for like home workout tips, and I'm gonna have to check that out because man, I need to go to the gym, and now I'm stuck in my condo because of the pandemic. So I think that stuff's useful. That's all I got, man. I appreciate the chat though. That was really good. No, thank you. I appreciate it. It was great. Thanks for having me. That's all for today. Thanks again for joining me on another episode of the Success Story Podcast. You can download or stream this podcast wherever podcasts are available, including iTunes, Spotify,
Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and many others. You can also watch this podcast on YouTube. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this podcast with your friends, family, coworkers, and peers. Please leave us a rating on iTunes. It takes about 30 seconds as it allows other people to find our podcast and lets our amazing guests reach even more people with their message. And remember, any rating is fine as long as it contains 5 stars. I'm Scott Clary from the Success Story Podcast, signing off.